Hello, in this video I'll be talking about some of my creative processes that I put into this picture, and also I guess I'll talk about art for a little bit. So this painting was very difficult for me. I spent hours on it. I was working on it for like a week and a half and it took me forever, and by the end of it I was getting very tired. I'm like, I have drawn half a dozen hands, I'm super tired at this point, but I pushed through and finished it. So this particular picture, I went in many different directions with it, and you could probably tell just now I had this like rainbow looking cloud with a red background that is obviously not how the final picture looks. So what I was going for is I wanted a very colorful looking cloud to kind of match the Adobe Creative Cloud logo, which is also like rainbow colored, and I wanted to try for a red sky to match up with Adobe's red logo color scheme. Obviously it did not work out. It was very difficult for me to take the picture that I had in my head and translate it to a real canvas. I just don't have that level of skill yet. So in the end, I deleted and restarted about 2 or 3 times before finally settling on the final version, which is not quite what I was going for, but it was easier for me to actually like paint and put together and have it look semi-decent. So there are a lot of points in this video you can see in the process of drawing where I kind of restarted or made some mistakes and had to redo it or delete something and just restart a bunch of times. And so I cut all those parts out of the shortened video in the interest of time, because apparently this video is like 8 minutes long and I don't know if anyone wants to sit through that. So I decided to make a shortened version that's a little tighter and just shows like the process from start to finish as the painting itself actually looks in the end. So I removed all the parts where I went down some path and didn't actually go all the way through there. But I decided I wanted to keep this longer version of the video because I don't know if honest is the right word, but I want to present a more complete view of the creative process. Because one of my biggest inspirations is by watching other artists, like professional artists or even hobbyists or anyone who's like super skilled. And I like to look at their art and watch their speed drawing videos online. And it's just super cool to see them and how they put together their pictures. It's really cool. And at the same time, like, I guess this is my own personal opinion, but sometimes when I see their speed drawing videos, it just feels a little bit intimidating because it's like, wow, look at these artists. They're so awesome. They totally know what they're doing. You know, they're just going right through and putting together this awesome picture. And even though like logically you know that they're not actually going that fast, like the video is sped up for time reasons, but it still just feels like, wow, like they're totally perfect and you know they don't make any mistakes, which is probably not true, but I mean they probably make fewer mistakes because they're professionals, but it just feels kind of like, wow, like will I ever reach that level? So I wanted to make this longer video to kind of show the other side of things from my perspective of all the times when I drew something weirdly and it just didn't look right and I like erased it and redid it a bunch of times, or if I took a direction I was like, this is totally not working, and I had to like try again over and over. So this video I guess is meant to show that like kind of full picture of every single part of making this painting, from the successful parts and also the not successful parts. So from there, the story behind why I made this was in spring 2021, there was a vote. There's an ASUC vote on whether Berkeley should renew the student tech fee. And the student tech fee is responsible for covering the cost of software like Microsoft Office, Adobe Creative Cloud, MATLAB, and a lot of other things. And the outcome of the vote was that even though the existing votes were overwhelmingly in favor of preserving the fee and also preserving access to the software, the problem was that not enough people actually sent in a vote. So unfortunately it didn't count and the student fee was not renewed, which means that Berkeley would lose access to all the software because we wouldn't be able to renew the licenses. And this was pretty bad. Very, very luckily, the chancellor was able to put together some emergency funding to cover the cost of licenses for this software for at least the next academic year. So luckily for all of us, Berkeley's not going to lose access to all these essential software, and I still get to use my beloved Photoshop and Premiere and Illustrator for HCAM bridge work and also just my own creative works. And so the whole situation got me thinking of what would I do if I were to actually lose access to Adobe Creative Cloud early and not when I graduate. And I started to look into a lot of free alternatives because we all know that Adobe's software pricing is not the most fun thing in the world. And so I came with some alternatives that I would use if that ever happened. It also got me thinking more generally. It kind of took me back to when I first discovered digital art when I was around 12 and I first used Photoshop Elements in middle school. And I was thinking like, wow, like I get to use Photoshop at school. I'll be so cool. I'll be just like all those digital artists I see online. And I would like try to draw stuff with the mouse and I'd be like, why is my stuff not looking as good as all those super cool artists I follow online? And so it's from there I learned, and I was reminded of with this recent situation, that I guess this is my personal opinion, but I realized that it's not so much the tools that make the artists, rather it's the other way around. It's the artist who makes the most of the tools that they're given. So if I were to lose Photoshop or Premiere or something else, then I would move on to using a different software, and I would take the skills that I learned through practice and work with me and apply it to those new tools. So I still love Photoshop, and Premiere and Illustrator and so on, and I'm really, really glad that I still get to use them because I'm used to them. I'm kind of used to their workflow of how to put things together quickly for what I want to achieve. But at the same time, if I had to move on to another tool, which I eventually will have to do when I graduate, but it's a reminder to me that if I want to make something that I'm proud of, that I think looks good, then it boils down to putting my own work and practicing, not just on Photoshop, just like practicing, say, drawing anywhere, drawing on paper, or getting my hands on like actual paints, or just painting in Photoshop, as I always like to do. And it's about that work that I put in that determines whether or not I'll make something that I'm proud of, and not so much the actual software itself. But of course, I'm absolutely grateful to have access to Adobe Creative Cloud. So we're getting towards the end of the video, and this is the final picture I came up with. So yeah, thanks for watching.